Chapter 3. Brushing up against the truth. The next morning arrived like an unwelcome relative who brings fruitcake, inevitable, unpleasant, and leaving everyone wondering why this keeps happening. Detective Raven Darkblade, now standing at a confident 5 feet 11 inches, his height had found a middle ground, like a compromise between his femurs, sat in the museum's cafeteria, which served coffee that tasted like regret mixed with institutional despair. His investigation was going nowhere faster than a cheetah running backwards on a treadmill that wasn't plugged in. He'd interviewed 17 suspects. Or was it 71? His notes were getting harder to read since he'd switched from the Chinese takeout menu to napkins that dissolved when he wrote on them. "Detective Darkblade!" Miranda, paints badly, burst through the cafeteria doors, like breaking news that had been hitting the gym. "Something terrible has happened. Again. But different. But also the same." Raven spilled his coffee, adding another stain to his notepad that looked vaguely like a clue, but was actually just coffee. What now? Did someone steal the frame that's worth more than the painting that was already stolen? Worse. Miranda's hands fluttered like butterflies having a panic attack. Someone has returned the Nona Lisa. Raven's brain, which had been idling in neutral, suddenly stalled completely. Returned it? But that's good? No, because they put it in the wrong frame, the Mona Lisa's frame, and put a different fake Nona Lisa where the Mona Lisa should be. Now we have 2 fake Nona Lisas, 1 real Nona Lisa in the wrong frame, and no Mona Lisa at all. "Wait," Raven said, his height shrinking to 5 feet 8 inches from the sheer confusion. "Someone stole the Mona Lisa too?" "We don't know. We can't find it. But the fake Nona Lisa in the Mona Lisa spot has a speech bubble that says, 'I'm also real in. She couldn't continue. "Comic Sans?" Raven guessed. "Papyrus," she wailed. "It's even worse." They rushed to the Renaissance wing, where a crowd had gathered like moths to a flame, if moths were tourists and the flame was confusion incarnate. Sure enough, where the Mona Lisa should have been was another terrible drawing. This one somehow worse than the first. The stick figure was winking, or possibly having a stroke. It was hard to tell with stick figures. "This changes everything," Raven announced, then paused. "Actually, this changes nothing. I'm still confused. Just about more things now." Arthur Thief pushed through the crowd, still wearing his beret and striped shirt, now accessorized with a magnifying glass he was using backwards. "I knew this would happen. Classic art thief behavior. I should know. My name is literally Too obvious," Raven interrupted. "You're dismissed. Again." "But I have new evidence. Look." Arthur held up a paintbrush. "I found this at the scene." "That's your paintbrush," Miranda pointed out. "Your name is on it, in glitter pen." "Exactly. Too obvious. Therefore, someone is framing me by using my own brush that I definitely didn't drop here just now." Before Raven could dismiss Arthur a third time, Pierre the Mime appeared. He began an elaborate pantomime that involved what looked like juggling invisible cats while riding a unicycle through molasses. "What's he saying?" Raven asked Miranda. I don't know." I've lost the ability to understand mime. This case has broken me. Then, in a moment that shocked everyone, including himself, Pierre spoke. I cannot stay silent anymore, you see. The truth must out. And it rhymes with key. Last night I saw a figure dressed in black, carrying paintings in a giant sack. Everyone gasped, not at the information, but at the fact that the mime was speaking in rhyming couplets. You can talk, Raven exclaimed, his detective skills once again detecting the obvious. I took a vow of silence, it's true, but also a vow to rhyme, which I now do. The figure that I saw was quite petite, with fancy shoes upon their tiny feet. Fancy shoes? Raven's mind raced like a snail on vacation. That's a clue. Probably. Maybe. Ask me later. Dr. Vincent Van Mop appeared, pushing his cart of intellectual cleaning supplies. If I may interject with my expertise, the brushwork on this forgery is quite different from the first. See the way the stick figure's arm bends at an impossible angle? That's either avant-garde genius or someone who's never seen a human arm before. I confess, a voice rang out from the back of the crowd. Reginald Hatesart pushed forward, his permanent sneer somehow even sneerier. I did it. I committed the crime. You stole the Nona Lisa, Raven asked, hope rising in his chest like heartburn after museum cafeteria food. What? No. I gave the modern art wing a 1-star Yelp review. I've been carrying this guilt for weeks. I actually thought one piece was mediocre instead of terrible, but I couldn't admit it. My reputation as someone who hates everything equally was at stake. That's not what we're investigating, Raven said slowly. Oh, then I retract my confession. Everything is still terrible. Carry on. Mysteria. Mysteriousness glided over. Her mysterious black ensemble now accessorized with a mysterious black umbrella despite being indoors. Detective, have you considered that perhaps the thief isn't stealing art, but making a statement about art? What kind of statement? A mysterious one. That's not helpful. I'm not helpful. I'm mysterious. There's a difference. Gary Sleeps-A-Lot yawned from his position against the wall, where he was definitely standing guard and not napping vertically. I had another vision from the astral plane. The spirit of Leonardo da Vinci appeared to me and said, something. I forgot. But it seemed important. He was very upset about fonts. Right, Raven said, pulling out his coffee-stained notepad and trying to make sense of his previous notes, which now included a shopping list. Eggs, milk, dignity, and what appeared to be a tic-tac-toe game he'd played against himself and lost. Let me think, he said, assuming his thinking pose, which looked like someone trying to remember if they'd left the stove on. We have a stolen Nona Lisa that's been returned to the wrong frame. A stolen Mona Lisa that's been replaced with a worse forgery. A mime who speaks in rhyme. Fancy shoes. And someone really cares about fonts. The pieces of the puzzle swirled in his mind like a jigsaw in a blender. Then suddenly, like lightning striking twice in the same place, but missing both times, he had a realization. Oh my God, he exclaimed, his height shooting up to 6 feet 2 inches with excitement. I figured it out. The thief isn't stealing paintings. They're stealing frames. But they returned the frame, Miranda pointed out. Did they? Raven asked mysteriously, trying to channel mysteriousness, but mostly just looking constipated. Or did they return a frame? What if the original Framuccio Framaletti frame worth $70 million has been replaced with a fake frame worth only $69 million? That's only a $1 million difference, Dr. Van Mop calculated, his janitor brain still containing Professor Math. Exactly. The perfect crime. No one would notice. Except I did. Because I'm a detective. Sometimes. When I remember ! Pierre the Mime began an elaborate gesture that might have been applause, or might have been him fighting off invisible bees. Then he spoke again. The detective's wrong. I must confess, this theory is a complete mess. The frames are real. The art is fake. Someone's playing for higher stake. Stop rhyming, Raven shouted. It's confusing and limiting your vocabulary. I cannot stop. I'm cursed, you see, to rhyme until someone sets me free. The curse began that fateful night when I performed by candlelight. Another curse. Raven's head spun like a lazy Susan that wasn't lazy, just dizzy. That's 2 curses now. 3 actually, Gary yawned. The museum cafeteria coffee is cursed to taste like disappointment. That's not a curse, Gary. That's just bad coffee. Oh, that explains a lot. As Chapter 3 drew to a close like curtains made of confusion fabric, Raven stood among the assembled suspects, no closer to solving the crime, but significantly closer to a nervous breakdown. The Nona Lisa was found, but in the wrong place. The Mona Lisa was missing, but might have never been there. The mime wouldn't stop rhyming, and somewhere in Crimson City, which looked more terracotta in this light, a thief was probably laughing, or crying, or both. With this case, it was hard to tell. To be continued, mysteriously and rhythmically. Author's note for Chapter 3. This chapter is dedicated to all the mimes who've broken their vows of silence, only to discover they can only speak in rhyme. Also to Papyrus Font, which deserves better than being the Comic Sans of Comic Sans. Any resemblance to actual art crime investigations is purely coincidental and highly unlikely.